Hello everyone, I am Rajan, your instructor, and today I'm going to introduce you to AWS Lambda. Before I define what Lambda is, we need to understand what serverless means, because Lambda works on the serverless concept. Serverless means we do not need to provision, deploy, or manage hardware or software resources. We simply need to upload our code and let it run on a pay-as-you-go model. Sometimes we might confuse ourselves by thinking we don't manage any hardware in the cloud. So, does that mean cloud computing is serverless? No, not exactly. Even in the cloud, we rent a dedicated server with a hostname to deploy our code on. We are in charge of taking care of the operating system, security patches, and its uptime. We just don't need to assemble it by hand like we do in bare metal. And we need to pay for the server even if it is not running. But the serverless system actually takes care of the hardware, the operating system, security patches, availability, maintenance, and so on. And we do not need to pay for the server if it is not running. Isn't that wonderful? So, to help developers focus purely on writing code rather than worrying about the infrastructure, AWS has Lambda. So, what is Lambda? It's basically like a function, but instead of being hosted inside your code on your server, it is hosted on AWS Lambda. You write your code as a small, self-contained piece of logic in a language like Python, PHP, Node.js, etc. and upload it to Lambda. And then you can associate a trigger that will invoke your function on demand whenever you need it to run. AWS takes care of everything else. You do not need to worry about managing servers or scaling instances. Instead, it is a simple pay-per-use model where you can associate a trigger and then execute your function or script on demand and just pay for what you actually use. Now, let's see the use cases of Lambda. Very firstly, I have image processing system. Here, I have an architecture diagram of how you can design an image processing system using Lambda. Very firstly, a user uploads an image to S3 bucket, which will trigger an event to execute your image processor Lambda function, which will then process your image and then uploads it to destination S3 bucket. And then your user can request for that processed image whenever and however he wants. This is how a simple image processing system works using Lambda. Here I have two more use cases of AWS Lambda. For the second use case, we have account maintenance tasks. AWS Lambda can automate account maintenance and cost optimization tasks. For example, you can use Lambda functions to automatically delete old EVS volumes, manage AMIs, and clean up unused resources, all triggered on a schedule via Amazon CloudWatch to keep your AWS environment organized and cost efficient. For the third one, we have scheduled tasks like cron jobs. AWS Lambda can be scheduled to run automatically at fixed times, just like traditional cron jobs, using Eventbridge. For example, you can schedule a Lambda function to run every night to back up data, generate daily reports, clean up old log files, or trigger routine system checks, all without needing a dedicated server which is running 24/7. This much for today. If you are excited to dive deep into AWS Lambda, then you can go into AWS Management Console and see if you can create your own function and deploy it. Also, let me know in the comments if you want more serverless content like this. I'll see you next time.